Hi everyone! Today I will show you how to create very cute characters by only using and combining primitives in PixCap. Let's begin! Before actually starting to create characters, there are some new tips that I would like to share with you. First, I want to talk about how to take advantage of the axis of symmetry, or the ground grid, to create models with many symmetrical details. For example, the characters we're gonna make today have eyes, legs, and hands as symmetrical details. I will illustrate how to make advantage of this axis of symmetry. I'll try to make a sphere and assume it's a character's head. Next, I will create a pair of eyes on the head. I will add a sphere to create an eye, scale it down, and position it. The Properties panel is showing the coordinates of the small sphere. I copy and paste the small sphere to create another sphere as the second eye. As you can see, the second one is overlapping the first one right now. To make the second sphere symmetrical to the first sphere through the x-axis, I will go to Inspection tab and will remove the minus sign on the s coordinate. And boom! I got the desired result. I don't need to move the second eye by tracking manually, which is both imprecise and not as fast. This is how you make use of an axis symmetry, or the ground grid. Let's move all the shapes aside. Now I want to introduce more about the empty node, aka transform node. Click Add and select Empty Node. You will see on the viewpoint a new gizmo appear. You can understand the transform node functions like an empty group where you can store your layers just like in many other 2D design apps. In addition, you can move, rotate, and scale objects in the transform node simultaneously by multiplying the gizmo of the transform node. Note that the objects once inside the transform node will receive the new gizmo of the transform node as the new origin. Let's say I have a transform node and it's not at the original coordinates. Then try to create a cube and put the cube in the new transform node and you will see the difference. Although the coordinates value of the cube before and after entering the node are unchanged, it has adapted the new gizmo as the origin. I think I've explained the essentials. We'll apply what we just mentioned to character creation right now. We will create a duck first. This duck has a conjoined head and body. We create a sphere and scale it until the desired effect is achieved. Then we create another sphere to make an eye for the character. Position it. Copy-paste the sphere to create a second eye. At the x-coordinate, place the second eye in the symmetrical position to the first eye. As you can see, the eyes are still pretty far from each other, so I do the alignment a few more times. Then I create another torus. With just a little alignment, this torus looks like a duck's beak. Remember to drag the slider in the smoothness option if you find the primitive is not looking good enough. We are going to create blush cheeks for the character. Add another sphere and scale it flat. Position it closer to the eyes. Copy-paste the sphere, then input the opposite value of the x-axis to make the two symmetrical blush cheeks. Now I'm going to create a hat for the character. You will soon notice that almost all the parts of the character are sphere. Create a sphere for the crown shape, then create another sphere for the brim. It will be necessary from time to time to refine the shape of some of the elements you have created. I will slightly adjust the body of the duck. I continue to add some details at the top of the head to make it look more interesting. Copy-paste the top sphere to create another sphere as a top button. Then to simulate the crown stitches, I first create a torus. In the Z coordinate, input number 90 to make the torus vertical. Decrease the torus thickness and position it. Copy-paste the torus into many different toruses. On the Y coordinate of these toruses, input numbers 90 and 45 and -45 to make the toruses rotate around the top. Continue reducing the thickness of the toruses. Since these ones are generated from one original torus, when you change the thickness of one torus, the remaining toruses will also change. Now for the wings. Again, create a sphere. Scale and position it. The other duplicated sphere will be symmetrical to the X position axis and the Z rotation axis. Repeat the same step as how you created the first pair of wings to create another smaller pair. Copy the character's body and position it a bit lower, and we will have the upper part of the pants. Scale the sphere until you get the desired result. Position and scale the character's facial details again so they're not too close to the pants. I create a bag strap by adding a torus. Rotate and scale that torus, tweak smoothness and thickness, and get a desired shape. Next, create two cubes for the bag. Tweaking values in the mesh section and also scale and position them until you are satisfied. Finally, copy-paste to create a cube, scaling down the newly created cube to simulate the lock. Now we have a pretty cute bag. Move the three nodes of the bag so that the bag sticks to the strap. The character's leg is actually a cylinder. Change the diameter top to make the leg look more natural. Try to copy, paste, and create a symmetrical leg. Tweak the position and shape of the leg to your liking. Create a sphere for the foot. Input the X coordinate for the foot the same as the leg so that they are in the same position. Shape it until you're satisfied. Copy-paste the foot into two spheres to simulate the shoe and the soleil. You can also copy-paste one more sphere to simulate the vamp. Go to the library and search for the heart asset. Put a heart in front of the pants to make the character a bit more special. Change the color of the heart to white. For the time being, let's not care about coloring at this point. So we're done with the first character creation. Continue adding and transfer node now that we're going to tidy up the asset panel by putting all the character elements into the node. Rename the node. Let's create this friend, a cute little chicken. Basically, this chicken repeats all of the steps we used to create the first character, from adding the primitives to inputting the coordinates. I will make this part a time lapse. It's even easier to make a landscape composition for our characters. First, add two cubes to make the platform, shape them to your liking, and remember to increase the smoothness of the cubes. The tree is actually a combination of a cylinder and a sphere. Change the diameter top of the trunk to make it look more natural and shape the crown as you like. Then put all the elements of the tree into a transform node. rename the node. Now copy paste that node and you will have a lot of different trees. Shape them and arrange them until you get a decent composition. Let's add a few small spheres on the ground to increase the level of detail. Finally, create another transform node and put all of the landscape elements into it. Let's hide the nodes. I will show you how to create a studio backdrop. Click Add and select Curved Plane. Rotate at 90 degrees and scale it up. Increase the smoothness of the curved plane. If you see a distinct division of the backdrop horizontally and vertically, you can change the direction of the default light to make sure the light is evenly distributed across the plane. Then change the corner size and the angle of the plane to blur the borders. Increase the light to your liking. In environmental lighting, turn on Environment Map. I want to turn it on because I will create a puddle on the floor and the environment map helps me create a better water reflection. Let's hide the backdrop again for now to see things more clearly. I want to show you how I color using materials. When you select the object node, look at the properties panel and you'll see a materials section. By default, you can only change the base color. However, you can always click on the plus sign and add more layers to the material section, like the metallic layer or the normal map to import your own material image. The alpha layer allows you to change the transparency, and the emissive layer helps you create a glow effect. We don't need these layers for now. The objects in PixCap's library already have saved materials. You can click on the material and customize it inside the material panel to your liking. Or you can detach the save material by clicking the detach icon and save a new material if you want. You can then reuse your new material for all the objects if you want to apply the same color to them. You can also select a multiple object nodes in the asset panel and apply the same material to them at once. It's very convenient. Now let's start coloring. Let's add some glitter. Go to the library and search star. I found the star of the Earth asset to be quite interesting. I'll use it. Remove the unnecessary elements and copy a few more stars if you want to position them. Let's color the stars. Last tip of the day. In the materials section of the star, create another immersive layer and change the black into the immersive layer to a lighter color, then closer to the base color. Hover the mouse over the empty area of the asset panel and left click to select no object. At the properties panel, pay attention to the post effects section. Turn on glow effect. The only thing left to do is tweak the glow intensity. Thanks for watching until the end of the video. Stay tuned for more interesting PixCap tutorials videos. Goodbye!